Good to start?
Okay. Good morning. I'm on my tiptoes. I can't promise to be that way the whole time, but I am the Reverend Jane Ramsey. I am a community minister affiliated with this church and have been for a long time. I am pretty much retired hospice nurse and hospice chaplain. We all have the power within us, not the kind of power of Putin or Hitler. We have the power to make a difference in our everyday lives. It is not that hard. We can find that power and change the world. Perhaps one person at a time. Let us harvest our power and the power of our beloved community. Come into this circle of caring. Come into the community of gentleness, justice, and love. Come, and you shall be refreshed. Let the healing power of this people penetrate. Let loving kindness and joy pass through you. Let hope infuse you, and peace by the law of your heart. In this human circle, caring is a calling. All of us are called. So come into the circle of caring. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley. I'm Bill Brown, and I'm your worship associate today. This is a welcoming congregation, and we are always working on how to welcome one another better. If this is your first time here, welcome, and whoever you are, we welcome you in the fullness of who you are. As we begin, we want to acknowledge that this church occupies land in Huchen, the unceded territory of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people. Sorry, I got lost. We understand that we continue to benefit from the seizure and occupation of this land. We acknowledge and embrace our responsibility to take restorative action. We affirm that this is deeply felt and commit our congregation to be in right relationship with Indigenous communities, aligning in solidarity, supporting Indigenous projects, and caring properly for the land. This morning, we'd like to also welcome to our chancel Reverend Dr. Jane Ramsey. Reverend Jane is a retired hospice nurse and chaplain and has been a community minister at UUCB since 2005. She specializes in aging and end-of-life issues. She has been certified in death, dying, and bereavement through the Association of Death Education and Counseling. She has a BS in nursing, a master's in divinity, and a doctorate in ministry. She has a private practice in spiritual direction and bereavement counseling as well. Along with Ann Greenwood, co-facilitates Aging with Grace, a self-support group dealing with life and issues that come up in our later years. The group meets weekly and is open to all. Welcome to the pulpit, Reverend Jane. Now, let us kindle our chalice flames with these words.
In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share.
Reverend Jane, would you read the four candles of resilience?
We also pause to remind ourselves of some of the foundations of resilience. A candle of acts of service, a candle of fellowship, a candle of hope, and a candle of courage. May we find and cultivate these foundations of resilience in ourselves and in one another. Now, please join us in singing our opening hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit. The words will appear on the screen.
please join me in saying our covenant. Love guides this church. The quest for truth and justice is its common purpose. To give thanks, listen deeply, speak with care, honor our differences, and seek and grant forgiveness. These things we covenant with one another. Thank you.
It's the Time for All Ages part of the service. Who would like to hear a story? Come forward. I invite you who's young and or young at heart to come forward. Or stay forward. I'll be telling you a story today while Heaven Walker, our new RE director, is at Freestone. Have you met Heaven yet? Isn't she wonderful? So shouldn't we all support her while she builds of RE again? So as you're gathering, maybe you can think about this question. Does anyone know where the Buddha was born? Any guesses? Oops. Ooh, don't be shy. Anybody want to guess? India. Wow, great guess. Ding, ding, ding. And up on the screen, we will see a map, and we will see that far on the right where that arrow is, there's the continent of Asia and then the subcontinent of India. And then inside of that is modern-day Nepal, and there is located Lumbini, where they think the Buddha was born. And way on the left side, the very far west coast of the United States is where we are at Berkeley. So that's where the Buddha is from. So I'd like to tell you about the Meta Chant, which is a Buddhist chant, and we will see this lyrics on the screen, and it's about directing loving kindness towards yourself and to others. So there are the words: may I be safe, may I be well, may I know joy, may I be free. So I was reading what a famous Tibetan Buddhist named Thich Nhat Hanh said about the Meta Chant, or Metta, which is loving kindness, and he said part of that is to be kind to yourself and to know and understand yourself and extend that to others. When I thought about this, someone came to mind right away, and it might not make sense at first, but I think it will later on. It's a woman conductor named Joanne Falletta. So she seems to be changing the world of music. And she really seems to have this quality of loving kindness towards herself and to others. And as I tell you a story about her, you might think about trying to listen for these words in the Metta Chant. Safe, well, joy, and free. So I grew up in Long Beach in Southern California, and the orchestra there, the Long Beach Symphony Orchestra, well, they're good, but, well, let's just say they're not the LA Philharmonic. And at one point, they needed a new conductor, so they auditioned several conductors, and they came, and they practiced with the orchestra, and each in turn then gave a public concert. It was very exciting. And it was amazing how different the orchestra sounded with the different conductors. And my favorite by far was Joanne Falletta. I remember sitting in the concert hall, and this rich, lush sound came from the orchestra. I'd never heard them sound that way before. And I thought, is this the same Long Beach Symphony Orchestra? Did they secretly swap out the players for better ones? But no, they hadn't. They were the same ones. She just was able to coax the sound out of the players, and they performed beyond what any of us thought they were capable of. Well, she won the position, and she conducted them for a number of years, and that was early on in her career. And now she's won several Grammy Awards. Does anyone know what that is? Yeah, it's an award for music, and it's really hard to get. She's gotten several for conducting. When she was starting out, it was almost unheard of for women to be conductors of orchestras. So when she began at the Man's College of Music as a guitarist, she had the chance to conduct the student orchestra, and it gave her so much joy, that she wanted to change her focus. But the administrators tried to talk her out of it because they said there was such a small chance that she would be able to get a good job as a conductor. But they let her do it anyway, and so she continued studying and working and conducting, and then she went on to graduate school and kept studying, and then she studied with some world-famous conductors, and they helped her really refine her skills. And she actually soon became the director of a succession of orchestras, including the Long Beach Symphony. And in 1998, she became the conductor of the Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra. So she was the first woman conductor of an orchestra of that caliber and size. Years ago, when Joanne Falletta was auditioning in Long Beach, I actually had the chance to interview her for the community newspaper. And I asked her, did she have to overcome a lot of difficult obstacles to become a conductor in a world where that was so rare? And I remember I was really surprised. She didn't tell me stories about how hard it was, and she didn't complain about how badly she was treated. No, I just remember she became very calm and quiet, and she said, well, it's true that there's a lot more men than women who want to do this, but I want to do this. And it's probably the case that there might have been some people who said or did things to her that wasn't very nice. But she didn't seem to have any trace of anger or resentment towards others. She seemed gentle, steady, and she just seemed to know herself. I remember feeling, wow, I feel really safe around her. Safe. She seemed fine. She seemed very well. Well, she seemed to know what gave her joy. And she felt free to pursue what gave her joy. Free. So that's what you wish for yourself, and you wish that for others. I wonder, maybe with her attitude towards herself, holding this loving kindness towards what she was, and her attitude, it seemed like, well, there are barriers in other people, maybe they don't have to be there either. And maybe with that attitude, if they did have barriers, maybe they were softened. I don't know, I'm just guessing, but I just know when I was around her, I thought, of course she could be a conductor. Sometimes we can be very hard on ourselves, and we can say, why do I think I can do this difficult thing? I can't do this no matter how hard I try. And besides, people will be against me. But maybe you can. Maybe if you're patient with yourself and you encourage yourself, maybe you will be able to do it. And maybe other people will help you. So I think that it makes the world a better place when everyone can use their talents and skills no matter what they look like, and maybe others will as well. Back then, it seemed like everyone was saying that it couldn't be the conductor of a major orchestra. But Joanne did it, and now she's known around the world as a really great conductor. Gramophone magazine recently named her as one of the 50 great conductors of all time. And she's brought much joy to many musicians and listeners. So let's learn the Metta Chant. This version is set to music by a local musician named Kim Rankin, and it's sung at numerous churches all around the country now. I'll sing a line, and then you're invited to sing it back. May I be safe. Now you. May I be well. May I know joy. May I be free. Beautiful. And then when you do the next round, you'll substitute in those words in italics, and I invite you to make these gestures. So when you're directing loving kindness toward yourself, may I be safe. And then direct it towards your neighbor, turn to them and say, may you be safe. And then direct it towards the community, may they be safe. And then direct it towards the community and include yourself, may we be safe. And then extend it to the whole world, may all be safe. Okay, ready? Okay, let's give this a try. May I be safe. May I be well. May I know joy. May I be free. May you be safe. May you be well. May you know joy. May you be free. May they be safe. May they be well. May they know joy. May they be free. May we be safe. May we be well. May we know joy. May we be free. May all be safe. May all be well. May all know joy. May all be free. Thank you for your beautiful singing and thoughts.
Our reading today is unattributed, but comes from the Handbook of Religious Service of the Church of the Larger Fellowship. Between the morning and the night of our desires, between our ideals and our accomplishments, we would pause to reflect on the meaning of life, and especially on the meaning of our own lives. May we have the wisdom to see that only a few things bear the mark of the eternal: the giving we have invested in others, the love we have expressed in deeds, the work we did because we loved it, the truth we spoke and followed, the justice we stood for despite the fear of consequences, the evil we turned into good because we saw that none of us live apart, but are all members one of another. May we come to see the meaning of our days so that we might begin to live more deeply and more fully. May we lift up our eyes to the holy mountain and seek the steady stars at night. Let us think upon these things. By the reflections of our mind, may we be lifted up in higher resolve and greater commitment. Thank you.
We have heard this many times, and it rings true every time. Take a deep breath, in and out. Relax your shoulders, relax your neck, relax your arms and legs and all that is tense in your body. You are invited to a time of silence. Be silent, be still, be serene in this house of the Spirit. Put aside all noises that annoy, all songs that irritate, the cacophony that confounds. Here, you are at home. Leave behind the frustrations that belittle, the causes that fret, the troubles that torment. Here, you can be at rest. Put away all the plans to be made, things to be done, victories to be won. Here, you are at peace. Breathe deeply, clear the mind of all cluttered thought, purge the spirit of all unkindness. Rinse the soul clean and pure. Here, you are at peace. Sit easy and be at rest. Feel your body recover its resilience, your mind its bearings, your spirit its strength. Once again, we have come home to the source. We feel the collective power of our companions, the warmth of their welcome, the support of their caring. We who have been wanderers, groping for something, we know not what, are again at home. Here is a place for us. Let us join together in singing Find a Stillness. The words will be on the screen. Promise me you'll always remember you're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Christopher Robin to Pooh. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another. John 13:35. Power is the eternal possibility of resisting non-being. Paul Tillich. I don't know when it first occurred to me that I had no power. I am pretty good at avoiding dark areas. Power meaning just about everyone else in the world. I acted in ways I thought others expected of me, as if I were a person with power, yet minimizing it. As such, I became pretty much a non-being in my own eyes. Eventually, I came to see the truth. This is in part the story of my journey. Ollie Nouwen was a Dutch-born Catholic priest who suffered from bouts of depression and loneliness while publishing over 20 books. One of his books, Life of the Beloved, is deeply integrated within this sermon. In the first three Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, there is a passage, almost identical in all three, in which Jesus is baptized by John. The heavens open up, and God says to Jesus, "You are my Son, the Beloved. With you I am well pleased." Nouwen broadens this statement to include us all. We are all beloved, and God is pleased with us all. As much as that is not how I would put it, I get the point. We affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, as our second principle states. I will reframe Father Nowen's thoughts in the best UU tradition, broadening the concepts to include a less rigidly Christian perspective. Nowen first talks about being taken, which he rephrases into the word chosen by God. My translation, we are all born with inherent worth and dignity. First of all, Father Nowen writes, you have to keep unmasking the world about you for what it is: manipulative, controlling, power-hungry, and in the long run, destructive. The world tells you many lies about who you are, and you simply have to be realistic enough to remind yourself of this. Every time you feel hurt, offended, or rejected, you have to dare to say to yourself, these feelings, strong as they may be, are not telling me the truth about myself. The truth, even though I cannot feel it right now, is that I am the chosen child of God, precious in God's eyes, called the beloved from all eternity and held safe in an everlasting embrace. I say unconditional love, which translates further into universalism. Nowen acknowledges what many of us feel on a daily basis. It is one thing to say to yourself, I am loved, and then face the world, where at any time something may happen to completely undermine this new belief and self-confidence. Expect it. Expect problems and know that you are still beloved. You still have that inherent worth and dignity. Paul Tillich has said power is the eternal possibility of resisting non-being, not necessarily in the Buddhist sense. Resisting non-being, choosing to come into community, is a way of resisting non-being. We are a self-chosen community. We are not here because we are afraid of hell, or if you are here for that reason, you are in deep doo-doo. We are not here because our culture dictates that we go to church, as was more true in the 50s when I was growing up. We are here because we choose to be part of this community. We are here to gather the Spirit and harvest the power within us all. We are here to fight the emptiness and loneliness that come with being part of a culture so large that getting lost can be easy. We are here to affirm our own belovedness. We are here to resist non-being. We are here to search for our faith. We are here to find meaning in this world. We are here to nourish our spirit, our value, and our worth. And with this, we can harvest the power of this community. Nowen goes on to say, quote, I am increasingly aware of how much we fearful, anxious, insecure human beings are in need of a blessing. Children need to be blessed by their parents, and parents by their children. We need each other's blessings. Masters and disciples, rabbis and students, bishops and priests, doctors and patients. In defining blessing, Nowen highlights the Latin origin benedicere, to speak well. He goes on to say, I need to hear good things said of me, and I know how much you have the same need. When we bless, we affirm the goodness in that which we are blessing. When we bless, we are helping to give strength to the positive aspects of each other, as does the Buddhist greeting, Namaste. Father Nowen acknowledged that we get enough of the negative. There are enough things in life which help to tear down and demoralize. We face them as individuals and as a community every day. By blessing, speaking the truth of what is good and right in us all and in our community, we affirm we love what is best in us all. Nowen lived in a home for the intellectually challenged. He tells of a story in which one of the residents approached him and asked for a blessing. He gave a perfunctory sign of the cross. and was told that's not enough. He then blessed the individual by saying that what specifically made her special, in this case her smile. Many others in the group came and asked for blessings following that incident, and now I learned that blessings are the deepest. Sorry about this. Following the incident, now I learned that the blessings are the deepest affirmation of our true self. If not enough, it is not enough to be chosen. We also need an ongoing blessing. When bad things happen in our lives, when we hear messages of self-blame, self-hatred even, when we listen to the news and know that suffering, pain, and injustice abound, at these times, it is easy to believe that both we as individuals and as a group of human beings are cursed as a species and not blessed. Yet this is the very time we need to remember we are blessed. We are beloved. That is the truth. The people who are perpetuating pain and destruction are perpetuating lies. Such lies include working to convince others of their lack of worth, lack of value, lack of being blessed and beloved. We must continue to work towards the opposite end. We can do this much easier if we believe ourselves as having worth and dignity, and in our beloved community. Goodness begets goodness, and hatred begets hatred. You may well point out that saying, I am of worth, and other affirmations do not make it so. It is something at which many of us have to work. Meditation and our prayer are ways, tools if you like, that can help us move in this direction. Naumann goes on to say, quote, the real work of prayer is to become silent and listen to the voice that says good things about me. It is a hard discipline to gently push aside and silence the many voices that question my goodness, and to trust that I will hear a voice of blessing. That demands real effort. Naumann discusses all the voices that come to mind when we try to sit quietly, voices listing all the things we should be doing other than sitting in silence. To discover the small voice saying, you are my beloved child. On you, my favor rests. One way to help may be to concentrate on a sacred text. He suggests a favorite psalm or prayer, and I will add any sacred text from any source. For myself, there are a few. First, the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. Another of the many versions of loving kindness meditation, as we heard earlier. I will only say one verse. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. Naumann himself used the prayer of St. Francis, which begins in part, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Anything you can use to bring you back from that noisy mind. As the main character in Anne Lamott's novel, All New People says, my mind is an unholy puppet show. It is not on my side, does not have my best interest at heart. This is the place from whence we must drag our mind, sometimes kicking and screaming, to a place which does have our best interest at heart, a place of knowing we, you, are blessed. And as you grow to acknowledge the truth of yourself as being beloved, blessed, and worthy, so we all can join in a beloved and blessed and worthy community. A second suggestion Nouwen makes for realizing one's own blessedness is to be present to the day-to-day blessedness that occurs. When people give you a compliment, be present to it. Listen and accept it. Do not brush it off. It is easy to get caught up in the everyday tasks and get too busy to realize the blessings the people around us offer. When we take the time to be present, he feels blessings from many of the people he lives with. The blessings do not have to be invented. Just stop and be present in your everyday life. Be present to the blessings that are there. Through prayer and meditation, through being present to the blessings of everyday life, hopefully you will be able to realize you are beloved and the belovedness of this, your church community. Considering the Catholic sacrament of communion, I will digress a bit here. I replace the, quote, blood and body of Christ, unquote, with what I believe those words represent, that which is most wise, compassionate, and caring. In this book, Nouwen uses communion, which he describes as taking the bread, blessing the bread, breaking the bread, and giving the bread. In taking of the bread, you are choosing to accept this gift of the holy. Blessing the bread we have discussed as the bread as honoring what is precious and good in you. He interprets the breaking of the bread in terms of brokenness. Here he is considering death and the painful parts of life that cause us anguish and suffering. And in consuming the bread, allowing that healing power, the power of belief in the goodness that exists in this world, to heal you. In the final section, he discusses giving. This I'm familiar with. There is no doubt in my mind that in giving we experience the divine. In giving, it is easier to sense and feel our own belovedness, our own worth. Father Nouwen further writes, quote, as I grow older, I discover more and more that the greatest gift I have to offer is my own joy of living, my own inner peace, my own silence of solitude, my own sense of well-being. These are gifts of friendship, patience, joy, peace, forgiveness, gentleness, love, hope, and trust, among other things. We can all see that these are gifts deeply embedded in the formation of this beloved community. Another component is living as the beloved. Instead of trying to prove that you deserve to be loved, you live life as an unceasing yes to the truth of that belovedness. Know that you are blessed. Know that you are worthy. As our second principle says, we covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Everyone includes you. By recognizing our own belovedness, our own worth and dignity, we are affirming this in ourselves. As we begin to know and recognize this in ourselves, it only helps us to recognize such in others. I no longer feel powerless or invisible. I now know that I am beloved, I am blessed, and I am worthy. I have power. As this community as a whole and in each individual within becomes aware of the beauty that is who we are, there is no limit to what is possible. There is no limit to the power to cope with, as Nouwen describes, the world about you for what it is, manipulative, controlling, power-hungry, and, in the long run, destructive. Keeping in mind, the world tells you many lies about who you are, and you simply have to be realistic enough to remind yourself of this. We together are more powerful than all of that. You are, as A.A. Milne says, braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. We know the reality that we are blessed, are loved, and have incredible worth. Harvest that power, your power, the power of this beloved community, a place in which we can feel loved, a place in which we can feel comfortable on a basic level as we are challenged to be our best, a place in which we can grow and enjoy life and have fun, a place of spirit, a place where we can feel the touch of the divine in community. Amen, I guess.
At this time in our service, we invite you to support our wonderful Good Neighbor organizations through our plate offering. Now, I know we're not passing a plate yet, but you can give electronically by putting your phone on this, or you can use the envelope in your seat back and put it in the box in the atrium next to the fountain. Each week, half of our plate offering is shared with a Good Neighbor organization recommended by our Social Justice Council. We're grateful that you continue to practice generosity with our good neighbors through these hard times. The Good Neighbor for July is the Contra Costa Family Justice Center. They serve families affected by domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, and human trafficking. Their mission is to bring together our community to support the healing of family violence survivors and to integrate capable partners with a comprehensive service approach to renew individuals in our communities from traumas of family violence. Offerings of any value are received with gratitude. Thank you. Please join me in dedicating our offering. We dedicate this offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation, to create a loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service. It's been good being together today. Before we shift to our coffee hour, may I remind you to check out all the things that are available in our congregation by exploring our website, uucb.org. There you'll find links to the news, to the week ahead, our weekly email newsletter, which includes a list of activities, announcements, and contact information for various events. As we prepare to leave the service, here are a few things to note. The next Freestone Picnic Day is on August 6th. Please take this opportunity to visit the Freestone Retreat as part of the ongoing process to determine the future of the property. Picnics will take place twice a month throughout the rest of the summer. Contact David Wemmer if you need help choosing a date, carpool information, or for more details. And on August 7th at 1 p.m., the LFDMC meeting will be on Zoom. Cordell Sloan will lead a discussion on the book Algorithms of Oppression, How do Search Engines Reinforce Racism by Sophia Umoja Noble. Now please join in singing our closing song, number 368, Now Let Us Sing. Yes? Thank you.
We have been blessed this morning by who we are and by the hope and promise inherent in the community we build here. Remember that hope and that promise. Remember that you are a unique and needed part of it. Life is beauty. Tell this story. Go in peace and return with light.